Good evening. Welcome to the Livingston County Board of Commissioners. It is April 12th, 6 o'clock. Going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. We start out with first with a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Now, if you'd rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll.
Commissioner Nakagiri.
Here.
Commissioner Griffith. Here. Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Reeder is absent. Commissioner Helserman.
Present.
Commissioner Drick.
Here.
Commissioner Zajac is absent. Commissioner Gross is absent. Commissioner Plank. Here. A quorum is present.
Thank you. Next up on the agenda is correspondence. We have no correspondence from other counties this evening, so we'll move on to item 6, which is our first call to the public. Just as a reminder, it's your opportunity to address the board. You'll have in the first call to the public 3 minutes. Later in our second call to public, if you wish to address the board, then you'll have 2 minutes. You should have filled out a card and given it to the clerk. And so I'll ask Clerk Hundley to.
We do have 2 cards this evening. Miss Stacy Farrell from Osceola Township. Yes.
Can you tell me when to start? Or do I just
You go ahead and start, and I'll start the timer here. So.
Okay. I come before you this evening to talk about Youth Mental Health Awareness Month. Yesterday, I sent resolution language outlining the risks and facts that culminate with this board recognizing the month of May as Youth Mental Health Awareness Month. The mental wellness of our youth is a nonpartisan issue that has been talked about in nearly every meeting in nearly every context these past couple of years. What may not be as well known is that contrary to popular belief, the risk of suicide is not during the holidays in December. The data shows that the risk of suicide increases sharply during the spring. That's right now. Right now, we're at a higher risk of losing one of our precious children. Some of the uncommonly known facts that are included in the resolution language are the average age of early signs of mental illness is 14 when most students are entering high school. And the number of children ages 6 to 12 who visited children's hospitals for suicidal thoughts or self-harm has more than doubled since 2016. The World Health Department has found that neighborhood safety, access to green space, healthy food, housing, healthcare, and pollution can shape the mental health of young people. And the University of Maryland Center for School Mental Health has found that educating staff, students, and parents in the signs and symptoms of mental illness is key to both early intervention in dismantling the stigma surrounding health, that spreading awareness and the importance of mental health can help people realize the many ways in which mental illness impacts them and those around them, and can provide the opportunity to learn about available services. And that Livingston County is committed to supporting the youth of our community and enhancing discussions around the importance of youth mental health. Excuse me. I have terrible allergies and it's such a beautiful day outside. This is an issue that affects all of us, and I urge you all to please take this small step towards saving the lives of our children by approving this resolution or similar language and declaring the month of May as Youth Mental Health Awareness Month.
Thank you very much for joining us. Clerk Hundley.
Mr. John Conley from Green Oak Township.
you.
Thanks.
Recent weeks, months, Brighton area schools.
If you would
Yeah,
take a seat and
I will.
and
Do I
speak
have
into
to
the
sit down
mic
now?
and the
I wanna
people
sit
on
down.
Zoom can hear you.
I'll do that for you guys. Thank you. John Conley, Green Oak Township. In recent weeks / recent months, Brighton area schools unanimously passed a resolution that we didn't support marijuana within our school district, within our city. And then shortly after that, if you flip the page, you'll find the top. Now, remember, Brighton area schools unanimously doesn't do a lot. This we unanimously agreed on. The board did. And wasn't divisive at all. It was one. And if you flip the page, you'll notice all of the churches claimed on it. If you read the top part, it talks about, like the Brighton area school district, the religious leaders within the county agreed. So basically, in the very near future, I believe next month, Brighton City is holding a meeting regarding whether they'll have, we'll call it advertised pot distribution and sales within the city limits, what's called on Main Street in Grand River. And it's a very serious concern. And I'm here to put my voice forward that I think it's an absolute mistake to even consider such an idea. And that the youth, and we're talking about youth impact right now, and what the woman up before me spoke about, multiplied. And anybody that's ever dealt with the, I'll call it victims of this stuff, knows that it can get real bad. The income from it is not even close to what rehabilitation costs are for individuals that have problems. So I'd like the board to look at that and in serious consideration, possibly look at a resolution similar to the Brighton area school board's resolution and say that we just don't support this because it's not good for our community. Now, on the other hand, my grandfather, Dan Ehrman, who I love dearly, came down with Lou Gehrig's disease years ago. And I remember him growing some marijuana plants. I remember that helped him. And he died about 3 years after recognizing that he got it. It was an awful disease. And I was present and I saw the disabling effects. And I saw some positive impact for him where marijuana medically was advantageous. So I would never deny anyone or attempt to think that we should deny them anything that would help them. So is that my 3 minutes?
No,
Oh,
you got
okay.
30 seconds.
Okay, but anyway, in conclusion though, so I've seen the good effects of it. I've also seen the bad in my own family. And I've seen the people that didn't get rehabilitated. And I can tell you that we're talking about the suicide stuff. I've been to too many funerals. And I can't say that specifically it started with marijuana, but I can say it ended up with heavier stuff. And it created these problems. So I don't want to go into any more. And so anything we can do, I think we all should do it as leaders. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions I'd like to ask you, if you would allow it.
Certainly, Commissioner Helserman, Mr. Conley, if you,
Just a few. The first page that you've given to us is a resolution you say that was passed unanimously.
That's correct.
Okay, and then the last page, what is the
Oh, you got, it looks like, well, that may be,
is that the?
that's actually, it was a copy, and that was an accident.
Okay, that's
I had a helper today, yeah, and it's an extra
Okay.
copy of really the first page.
good. Thank you. Those are my only
Yep,
questions.
thank you.
We usually don't have conversations, but I had a,
No, I really appreciate, it's a serious issue, and I appreciate the interest. Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Chair.
anybody else in the room? Or any other cards, Clerk Conley? No, okay. We'll move to Zoom, see if there's any raised hands on Zoom. Looking at Zoom. Oh, there's one gentleman, I can't read the name, but go ahead. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Ken Schmank. I live in the city of Brighton. And first of all, I'd like to thank all of you for your service to our county. You guys all do a great job. I'm going to echo on what Mr. Connolly said. I visited the majority of the the churches. We actually have 16 churches right now, and that number is growing. And they were all absolutely against having marijuana in the city of Brighton. If you total up their congregations, it's a very large group that are against it. Of course, the Brighton Board of Education, but also I spoke with the Livingston County Sheriff, and great job. He also said, man, I hope you guys can stop this. One of the things I wanted to point out is the Sentinel Group out of Colorado did a study of the effects of marijuana within Colorado. And what they found is for every dollar of tax revenue that was received, it cost $4.50 to those people within those communities. And, you know, not just little things like car accidents, theft around the area, mental health, suicides, the addiction, and the cost of rehabilitation is just outrageous. One of the other things I wanted to add is, and I'll give my daughter credit, she actually spoke. She's a senior in high school. She spoke at one of the city council meetings talking about marijuana. And I think she made the best point of all. She said to the council, by you approving or allowing this in our county, basically tells all of us that it's okay. And I thought that was great. And the last thing I'd like to add is, really what I found is it comes down to money versus morals, right? So yes, cities, counties would receive money. However, I truly believe in my heart that they're putting money above the morals of what we actually are doing to our youth and the adults within the area. Anyway, thanks again for your time, and hopefully you'll take this into consideration.
Seeing none, I will go ahead and close the call to the public and remind everybody that there's another call to the public, 2 minutes at the end of the meeting. Next up on the agenda is item number 7. It's approval of minutes. We have minutes dated from our meeting in March 28th, 2022. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve. Griffith.
Support, Plank.
Motion by Commissioner Griffith, support by Commissioner Plank. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The minutes are approved. There are no tabled items from previous meetings, so we'll move on to item number 9, which is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Move the agenda.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Helserman, support by Commissioner Griffith. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. We have an agenda. Item number 10 is reports. This evening we have a report from our Planning Department Director, Ms. Kathleen Klein Hudson. Well, welcome.
Tonight for this Livingston County Parks overview, I've brought some fellow members of the committee. We have Mike Ahrens, Martha Haglund, and Scott Barb from the County Planning Department, as well as some members that are in the audience and online. And then we have the leadership of Doug Helserman and Commissioner Jay Gross. We're going to move through this presentation as quickly as possible and defer questions to the end, if that's okay. So we are a 7 to 12 member subcommittee of the Livingston County Board of Commissioners, established by resolution. And through this resolution, we are to have our membership appointed annually. We have committee staff support that's provided by the Planning and Facility Services departments. However, it constitutes a very small percentage of our annual work programs, probably less than 5%. And at this point in time, we do not have a county staff person that's dedicated to Livingston County Parks. As a committee, we recommend policy, design, maintenance, and operation procedures of Livingston County Parks. And we provide that to the Board of Commissioners for final decision. This committee was formed in 2005 after Owen Lutz bequeathed 300 acres of land to Livingston County. As parks and open space facilitators, Chris Foltz and I attend the Livingston County Foundation meetings to report. And this is the entity that was formed to receive bequests and also monetary donations that are designated to park uses. The Livingston County Board of Commissioners accepted the terms of the Lutz and Fillmore bequests or wills through the foundation. And the land is owned by Livingston County, and it must be used by for parks and recreational use in perpetuity. And Mr. Lutz and Mr. Fillmore were visionaries who wanted to provide their lands to the public trust. So the foundation acts as fiduciary for county parks, but there are very limited funds available. It's just the interest that is on that bears on the accounts. And because of that, we have to rely very heavily on grants, and they are very sought after at the state level. And we have just submitted an ARPA request for phase 2 development of Fillmore County Park. One of our primary guidance documents is a 5-year Parks and Open Space Plan, and that is required by the Michigan Department of Natural Resources in order to qualify for their grants, like the Passport Grant, Land and Water Conservation Grant. And as you can see here are some of the components of it. And we are currently updating that 5-year plan. It is on the Parks and Open Space webpage under residents. But in the process of updating it, we have just released a public survey. And the link to the survey, it's a Survey Monkey, is on the newsletter that I passed out to you. And much of the responses that we'll receive through that survey will guide the draft of the document. Another committee function is to create park rules for each of the parks. They are reviewed by the county attorney and adopted by the board and posted at each park. And then lastly, I wanted to show you the location map for the 2 county parks. We've got Lutz County Park that's in the northern part of Deerfield Township up by the Genesee County line in a very remote area. And we have the Fillmore County Park in Genoa Township in a more populated area of the county. Turn it over to Martha.
Thanks, Kathleen. I get to do the fun part, talk about one of my favorite parks in the county. Lutz Parks, you heard, was about 300 acres, but with about 100 acres of public use. You can go to the next slide. Owen Lutz was a tree farmer and actually a very active community member. He really was a visionary to preserve these areas, and really we're so glad that he did. The next slide. Ecological survey. Over 60 different plant species have been found. And really, when you walk through the trail system, you can see these. You start off by the farmland, go through the meadow with bluebird boxes, down by the pond, through a pine stand, which you probably planted a long time ago. And then you end up in this mature oak forest, and you can walk all the way back along the farmland. So it's very diverse. So you can expect lots of different animal species too. Some of the amenities beyond the trail system, you got a portable bathroom out there, some picnic tables along the way, and the facilities department did a great job landscaping around the parking lot. And Scott Barb will talk a little bit more about what he's doing to get the designation of the urban dark sky area. And to go back to, you can go next. opening day, just a great time to come together and celebrate this preserved area. And 5 years later, there was an event called Let's Get Together. I did a short internship with the planning department, and that's what we threw, lots of kid-friendly activities, food, and just kind of getting the word out about this park, Let's Park, which surprisingly over the last couple of years has really gained momentum. I used to go out there 10 years ago, right? I can't believe it's been that long, but nobody would ever be out there and it was so peaceful, right? But I was out there this Saturday. It was rainy, muddy, we don't mind. We love the park. And there are 10 other people out there. So this park gets utilized and we're happy that it's there. One more fact is actually a major motion picture was filmed at Let's Park. A lot of the horse riding scenes and picnic scenes were there. So what a great thing to have a public space for them to scout out, our different amenities. So I just want to end with saying that you guys have a great team with the planning department, facilities, and they tag team this park. And I'm just so glad that it's there for the community. And I think if you go there, talk to anyone, they'll say the same thing. So I'll turn it over to Mike to talk about Fillmore Park.
Thank you, Martha. Appreciate it. And thanks again to the board for making time to hear this update. We really appreciate it. Speaking of Fillmore, things began out there in 2006 with the original bequeathment of the land by the Raymond Fillmore Trust. The park is located, as you saw earlier, in the far northeast corner of Genoa Township. Interestingly, it's pretty much right where the population center of the county is located. So we figured that out as part of the process. It's like within 2 miles of that, which is interesting. The park comprises 198 acres, 90 of which was covered under the Phase 1 development, which was completed in 2020. The park features some the active recreation areas, specifically the play field that you see down in the lower right of that photo, and a 5K running hiking trail that extends off that trail that you see on the left of that photo. It's directly north of Camp Chaldean, which has been renamed Our Lady of the Fields. It's a Catholic retreat center right across the road, McClements Road, from that facility. And the park opened up in September of 2020, and the picture shows the opening event there. Next slide, please. Just very briefly, the background of the park. Raymond Fillmore was a long-term resident of Brighton Township. The property was used historically for farming. There is a residence located on an approximately 1 acre parcel that is currently under a life lease to a tenant who serves as a caretaker. But the rest of the park is fully open to the public. There was a stipulation in the bequeathment that any baseball or softball fields be named in honor of long-serving Commissioner Jack LaBelle. Also importantly, in that bequeathment via the Raymond Fillmore Trust, it stipulated that the land must be used only as a county park. And if it was not so used, it would revert to the contingent beneficiaries named in the trust. So that was a big motivation for us to develop the park. Basically, it was a use it or lose it proposition. I think it was in everyone's interest that we wanted to use it and develop it as a public park. And it is a beautiful piece of property. If you haven't been out there to look at it, it's well worth your time. It's ecologically fairly diverse in the woodlot areas that are featured there. Also the wetlands, beautiful wetland areas. The area on the easterly side of the park is generally fallow farm fields, and also the south central. And that's the easterly side is where we've developed the walking, hiking trails. But here we show the master plan of the park. We've recently refined this a little bit. We've already been thinking about the next steps that might be in store for the park for development. Just very briefly, you'll notice the existing parking lot right off McClement there. One thing we'd like to consider doing is expanding parking. The park is getting more and more use every month. Directly north of that, we'd be looking at a children's play area and extending into the woods, perhaps an adventure play area that would be similar to what you might see at the Howell Nature Center or Matai Botanical Gardens down in Ann Arbor. And directly north of that would be an area dedicated for picnicking and perhaps a picnic shelter. To the west, we've depicted a trail biking area. That might be one of the more something that might happen in the near future. We're working with the Trail Biking Association to lay out and hopefully help construct that facility. The area to the east would pretty much remain passive use, hiking and such. Also, the residents you can see on the along McClement Road along the south, kind of on the east side of the property. Now, this master plan is what you might call a traditional county park, for the lack of a better name, in terms of what we'd envision. And that means mostly passive uses like hiking, picnicking, nature watching, non-motorized biking, that sort of thing. Very limited development for active use. And those limited developments would be play areas and the sports fields. And next slide, please. The phase one projects started us down the road on that master plan. It took us 3 times to try to get a recreation grant through the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. We got lucky on the 3rd time. I shouldn't say lucky. It was a lot of hard work. You know, the harder we try, the luckier we get. It was the support of the Board of Commissioners that helped make that happen. Also, our legislative contingent was critical in trying to get the Land and Water Conservation Grant, which was roughly $86,000, I think. And again, that project built us some very basic facilities: an entrance road, parking lot, waterless restroom, 5K nature trail, and that multi-purpose playfield. Partnerships have been critical to making this thing happen. And just as an example, most recently, we had a Eagle Scout project that was done by Matthew Procuda, who happens to be the son of Kelly Procuda over in Facility Services, and Brian Procuda, who's the chair of our planning commission in the county. And this is 6 foot wide, about 48 foot long, and it bridges a wet area and helped to complete a really beautiful walkway through the nature area that's in the kind of dead center in the middle of the park. He raised the money, the donations for it, and he drafted some help to make it happen. So, but really, it's the partnerships that have made this happen. And going forward, partnerships will be necessary for any future development. As far as the phase one development, the county partners obviously included the Board of Commissioners. Again, we so much appreciate the support of the board. Livingston County Foundation, which was the foundation set up as part of the bequeathments of the Lutz and the Fillmore trusts. And some Livingston County departments. The Sheriff's Work Alternative Program brought some labor to the project under the direction of the Facilities Department. The Road Commission and the Drain Office have lended their support as well. On the phase one project, we had cash contributions from Genoa, Marion Townships, City of Howell, some anonymous contributions through the foundation. We've had other Eagle Scout projects out there. The neighbors have been really supportive of the project, and we've worked hard to try to keep their support. We want to be good neighbors out here. And also the Camp Chaldean Our Lady of the Fields group have been helpful and worked with us. Also, I would note that the local recreation agencies, Howell Area Parks and Rec, SELCRA, Southeast Livingston County Recreation Agency, they'll be important going forward for helping bring use to the park and doing it in a way that minimizes the cost to the county in terms of dollars and effort for operations and maintenance. We would hope that we would be able to have them work with us on the O&M, specifically on the sports fields, and help program those activities to bring more people out there. And we continue working with to develop partnerships. And we understand the county's ability to support Parks and Rec is limited. And so we feel going forward that the only way this is going to continue and to grow is with those partnerships. So that's all I have to say on Fillmore. Next up, we have Scott Barb, who's principal planner, talking about other initiatives in the parks in Livingston County. Thank you again so much. Appreciate it.
Good evening, Commissioners. Promise I'll be very brief here with you this evening. Just kind of carrying along with the theme of partnerships here. One of the examples of a partnership that the Parks and Open Space Committee assisted with was with the Friends of Livingston County Dog Parks with the land search for the dog park that's located over at the West Complex currently. As you know, this is a 2.4 acre site. The details are pretty simple. It's a 20-year lease for $1 a year. This was officially opened in September of 2014. And if we can roll to the next slide for it real quick. A couple photographs here kind of sum it up, if you will. It's an entry area with a fob. I believe membership is $65 a year. And once into that area, there is a separate area for large dogs, another area for small dogs, gazebos, play structures, agility equipment. There's areas for disposal bags and waste containers. And of course, the ever important for dogs, golden hydrants. So the park was a very well thought out, very well planned partnership with the Open Space and Parks Committee. Next one. Another organization that we are part of is the Livingston County Outdoor Network, known as Live On. This organization consists of our county planning department, the Huron-Clinton Metro Parks, and the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. Combining these groups allows us a stronger breadth of knowledge and expertise for the purpose of planning and coordination and overseeing projects that are both large and small. And because of that expertise that we have combined here, we are able to place a bigger emphasis on parks, trails, and conservation throughout the county. A couple of our supporting documents here. We have our 2018 Livingston County Master Plan, which has devoted an entire chapter to parks and recreation activities in the county. As you read through that chapter, you'll find that we provided a very thorough state of affairs, if you will, with our current parks situation in the county and how we need to move forward with our parks as part of our master plan. The Livingston County Trail Plan, which was adopted in June of 2020, also provides a foundation for our operation. This identifies maps and provides a very thorough analysis of the current and existing trail networks throughout Livingston County. Our supporting maps that we use are both the Livingston County Park Finder and the SEMCOG Park Finder. And the slide you see here on the right, this is actually from our county website. This is the Livingston County edition. If you click on each of those little pine trees there, it'll bring up the park name, the acreage, the location. And I also believe it details the facilities that are available at those parks. Just a few websites there that our residents and patrons, if they're interested in learning more about our parks, that we've provided. Really quickly, I just wanted to talk about future endeavors with our parks. As most of you know, we're about just over 3 years deep now into an application with the International Dark Sky Association for an urban night sky designation for the Lutz County Park. The revisions have been made that has been returned to the IDA for another review, and we're hoping to hear right around the end of May what the current status of that application is. We're really hoping to get that approval. If we can get that approval, this will be the first municipal park in the state of Michigan to achieve that status. So it'll be something to set the county parks apart again. We are currently also discussing with HAPRA, the Howe Area Parks and Recreation Authority, a lease of the sports field at Fillmore County Park. Those discussions are ongoing, and we're hoping to have something wrapped up within a week or so to discuss the potential use of the field with HAPRA. Kathleen mentioned earlier as well, we are currently updating our 5-year parks and open space plan, which is required in order for us to maintain eligibility to apply for funding through the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. And we are also currently quantifying usage at our county parks. We have a traffic counter at the Fillmore County Park on loan from the County Road Commission that is giving us data, letting us know how many trips are going there each and every day. And we also have a trail counter located there as well that's on loan from the Huron-Clinton Metro Parks that's giving us an idea of how many people are actually using the parks. And I believe Kathleen also mentioned earlier as part of her presentation that we just released a survey to gauge interest and to get feedback from our residents and patrons who visit the park. And we've had about 145 responses so far in 1 week. And that's a phenomenal number considering that the last time we updated the plan, we had 40 total for the entire survey period. So people are becoming more and more aware of the county park system. They're eager to get out and to enjoy the amenities that are being provided. So with that, that wraps up our presentation. We're available to answer any questions you may have, either from myself or our previous presenters.
Thank you very much. Thank all of you for the very informative presentation. Are there any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Griffith.
Scott or Kathleen, I'm not sure who to direct this question to, but first off, I want to thank everybody here who has participated in the Parks and Recs Committee. I was on there years ago, and it's come a long ways. It's a slow moving process, and it's so worthwhile when it all comes together. My question is, and it comes up frequently, how many acres of parkland do we have in Livingston County? I know it's on your website, but I don't recall.
This is just a guess, but
Mhm.
it's 22,000.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. And so being in real estate, that's one of the things that we like to stress is because people move to Livingston County for the quality of life. And so that is always a big interest to a lot of the people that are moving into our area. So thank you for enhancing the quality of life. It's a good job. I know you have to work hard at it.
Commissioner Smith.
Is there a way for you to share your PowerPoint with us?
Oh, yes. Was it in the meeting packet, or if it wasn't, I will be sure to email it.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Helserman.
6 years ago, 5.5 years ago, when I became a commissioner, I was given the assignment of joining the committee, the Parks Committee, and as a constitutionalist, you say, I don't see parks in the Constitution. And so you say, what government and parks, how do they go together? And so I was, kind of on the skeptical side, but I have enjoyed my time with the Parks and Rec and see their vision and see the way that they have worked to improve Lutz Park and Fillmore Park on a shoestring. And they're doing very well. And I have enjoyed working with them. I remember listening to the conversation about Fillmore Park, and I pictured it altogether different than when I went there. It's a much nicer, the way that they were describing it was that it was kind of like a wild place, and hills there and hills there and whatever. And it's a much nicer place than I had pictured just by listening to it. And I do appreciate, I was happy to be assigned to that after I got baptized into it. And I appreciate all their hard work, and I enjoy working with this team. They're doing a very good job.
Thank you, Commissioner Helserman. Anybody else? Thanks again. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Let's see, are there any reports from commissioners this evening? Commissioner Smith?
Yeah, the committee knows that I have drafted a resolution which will hopefully work its way into our next commissioner meeting here in the near future. But I want to thank those that are starting to speak up, Mr. Conley here in person and Mr. Ken Schmenk on the phone for speaking up against the proliferation of marijuana in the county. I don't know why we have this never-ending fascination with it, but we do. I know it's largely money-driven. I was really glad that someone pointed out the cost of marijuana versus the revenue of marijuana. The marijuana they manufacture today is, per our health department, roughly 5 times stronger than the marijuana that was produced in 1995. Having been a child of the 60s and 70s, I can assure you that I wouldn't be here today if that was the case back then. Thank you for your efforts, and hopefully in the near future, I can bring forth a resolution acceptable to be on the agenda.
Thank you. Any other reports from commissioners? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the reports and move on to item number 11, which is resolutions for consideration. The first one is 2022-04-045. It's a resolution authorizing the adoption of the 2022 County Equalization Report as submitted with the accompanying statements from our Equalization Department.
Move the resolution, Griffith.
Support Helserman.
Motion by Commissioner Griffith, support by Commissioner Helserman. Sue.
Good evening. I'd like to start out by saying that the numbers before you consist of a year's worth of work between the assessing office and our office. And I'd like to take this time to thank all the assessors out there for their professionalism, for being on top of their game. They're a great bunch to work with. This year, we have 3 new assessors out in assessing land. We have 1 that's new to the area and 2 that this is their first time signing a role, and it all went real smooth with them. So we've got some good input coming in. And we've had changes within our office also. The way we report, we have to do that differently now. We have to use our software different. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my team. And they're all here tonight. And I want to say a special thanks to them. Thanks, guys. So on with the numbers here. Our assessments increased 5.7% this year. Our taxable value next year will increase 5.97%. So the numbers are all there. If anybody's got any questions, if you have anything you want to comment on, be glad to hear it. Yes, sir. Oh,
If I can
sorry,
ask a
not my
question,
place.
Mr.
Commissioner Smith.
Okay.
Thank you, Sue. It's a lot to comprehend what you've done here, and I greatly appreciate it. It's an enormous task. I did have a question on the agricultural valuation. It is the only category that went down. And my question is that because the agricultural acreage has decreased, or because there's actually a decline in value, which would kind of shock me?
It's a couple of things. First of all, we have our values did not go up this year. We didn't change our values. But we did change one. We have a couple of different areas we assigned different numbers to, and we had one that went from the higher to the lower. Howell Township actually decreased in value. Most of the ag in that class is in the northern part, and that runs along our lower value properties. So we had the information documented to say, hey, they actually it needs to go to this value. And so we changed it this year. But the rest of them, our values didn't go up, and they were right around 49-50%. So there wasn't an increase in the class.
Okay. My other question was, how are we, what type of property are we classifying as development? I assume that means underdevelopment.
Developmental is property that is generally sold, it sells for a higher price than what it's classed at. A lot of times it was like in an area where a lot of ag land is.
Mhm.
And residential developments come in and scoop that up. And so it's developmental. It's
But-
still
but
being
mo- but
used for
it's
farm.
Majority
It's in-
residential. It's majority being proposed as future residential.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. It's very good work.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? I will take an opportunity, that personal property value, hoping for a little bit of education. I thought I recalled that the tax on that was being phased out over a long period of time. Is my
This year
understanding
coming
correct?
up is supposed to start phasing out. I haven't heard how they plan on doing that yet. But they are talking about doing it. Once a month, I go to the equalization directors meetings, and the state tax commission is there. And the man who works with developing how this is going to go, he comes every month. So I get a firsthand knowledge on what actually, when it's going to transpire and what's going on. But 23 will be the last year for it.
23?
Yeah.
What-
So they are going to phase it out.
What is the, how is that going to impact the revenues of the county? I mean,
Right now, we're getting reimbursed some of that money back, from the difference from 2013 to what our industrial and commercial are right now. So we're being reimbursed for it. I don't know how that's going to phase out, because they're real impressed with the EMPP that they put in there. And that's a separate tax on the industrial part of this. And I believe they're going to keep that, but does it just get phased out on our end? I don't know. I haven't heard.
yeah, I'd be interested in chatting with you, outside and more. I don't want to bog down the whole proceedings, but understanding, what our potential impact on revenue would be, when that gets fully phased out. So
Shouldn't be too bad. We've been reimbursed up until this point. So the numbers that we get from our ad valorem shouldn't be a whole lot different.
okay, thank you. Anybody else follow up? Thank you very much.
Okay, I have one.
Yes.
Don't leave before you sign it. I got a lot that you have to sign.
So we have a motion in support. This requires a roll call vote.
Commissioner Griffith,
Yes.
Commissioner Plank,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri,
Yes.
Commissioner Helserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dreck.
Yes.
Commissioners Reader, Zajac, and Gross are absent. Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up is 2022-04-046. It's a resolution to submit the estimated 2023 Livingston County General Fund budget to the Tax Allocation Board. Is there a motion?
So move Griffith.
Support Plank.
Motion by Commissioner Griffith, support by Commissioner Plank. Is there anybody presenting on this one or? Oh yes, yeah. I remember. Cindy.
Hi,
Thank you.
Commissioners. So the Tax Allocation Board will be meeting on April 18th, and we are required to present a forecast for our 2023 budget. So this is just the requirement that we are we have to do. This is just again, a forecast. This in no way commits the county to this as a operating budget or approved operating budget, but it's basically in support of our millage. So if you have any questions on the budget that as prepared specifically, I'd be happy to answer those.
Questions from commissioners? Looks like no questions. This also requires a roll call vote. So, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Griffith,
Yes.
Commissioner Plank,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Nakagiri,
Yes.
Commissioner Helserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dreck,
Yes.
Commissioners Reader, Zajac, and Gross are absent. Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up is 2022-04-047. It's a resolution to authorize a first quarter budget amendment to the fiscal year 2022 budget. Is there a motion?
So move, Helserman.
Support Smith.
Motion by Commissioner Helserman, support by Commissioner Smith. Is that Cindy again?
It's me again. So this is our first quarterly budget amendment. As I mentioned in the FAM committee, this is actually our second amendment that we brought to the board. But the first quarterly amendment that is just part of the overall budget process. Again, as I mentioned, the budget process is ongoing. We approve the budget, we monitor the budget, and we make amendments as needed. So this is the items that have come up within the first quarter. We have several items that are part of things that have already gone to the board, and these are just housekeeping issues such as the reorg for the courts. I don't want to necessarily go into all of them specifically, but I provided the detail for the commissioners. So if you have any questions on the quarterly budget amendment, I'd be happy to answer any specifics that you have.
Yes, this was discussed also in committee, but I'll ask my colleagues if there's any questions for Cindy. Seeing none, another roll call vote.
Commissioner Helserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dreck,
Yes.
Commissioner Griffith,
Yes.
Commissioner Plank,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
and Commissioner Nakagiri.
Yes,
Commissioners Reader, Zajac, and Gross are absent. Motion carries.
thank you. Next up is 2022-04-048. It's a resolution authorizing an agreement with Textron Incorporated for temporary access to county property for the purpose of groundwater monitoring activities. Is there a motion?
Motion Smith.
Motion by Commissioner Smith, support by Commissioner Plank. This is one also that was discussed in committee, but if any commissioner wants the background information or has specific questions, now is the time. Looks like everybody's good. So we do have a motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. The resolution passes. Next up is 2022-04-049. It's a resolution authorizing a statement of work for Rescue Plan Act consulting services. Is there a motion?
Support Griffith.
Motion by Commissioner Plank, support by Commissioner Griffith. This also was addressed in committee. But are there any questions from commissioners? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The resolution passes. Let's see, item F is resolution 2022-04-050. It's a resolution approving the increase in scheduled hours for a part-time biller in emergency medical services. Is there a motion?
So move, Dreck.
Motion by Commissioner Drick, support by Commissioner Plank. This was, actually the remaining resolutions were talked about in committee, but are there questions or commissioners want the background information? Seeing none, I just want to comment and thank our county administrator, our director of EMS and his staff. I had questions about, what potential alternatives, that maybe could save the county money. I attended a meeting on Friday and am quite confident that we are that keeping the billing practices, the billing in-house is the most cost-effective thing. So I want to thank all those that helped set up that discussion. And I think, having that discussion and looking into alternatives in a vigorous manner is one of the reasons why we are in great fiscal shape in the county. So with that being said, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The resolution passes. Next up is 2022-04-051. It's a resolution authorizing capital expenditure and budget amendment for the purchase of 5 replacement buses for Let's. Is there a motion?
So move, Helserman.
Motion by Commissioner Helserman, support by Commissioner Plank. I'll sound like a broken record, but anybody want the background or have questions on this resolution? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign?
Mr. Chair, I hate to interrupt, but it does include a budget amendment, so I would refer to, I see Rich McNulty. Should this be a roll call vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I forgot that. So
That's okay.
thanks for watching my back. So roll call vote, please.
Okay, Commissioner Helserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Drick,
Yes.
Commissioner Griffith,
Yes.
Commissioner Plank,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
and Commissioner Nakagiri,
Yes,
and Commissioners Reader, Zajac, and Gross are absent. Motion carries.
thank you. Next up is Resolution 2022-04-052. It's a resolution authorizing an agreement with Petroleum Traders Corporation to provide gasoline delivery services for the carpool. Is there a motion?
Motion, Smith.
Support Plank.
Motion by Commissioner Smith, support by Commissioner Plank. This too was discussed in committee. Anybody have any follow-up questions? Need further information? Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't have a question, but I do want to thank Director Kellogg. This provider of Petroleum Traders Corp is at such a discount that I kind of couldn't believe my eyes. And I found out that I was not the only one that was questioning the bid. So I want to thank him for responding not only to my questions, but many of us had a similar question, that it was a little too good to be true, but gave a very, very solid answer, and appreciate his effort.
Certainly.
Just add this, as I noted in my email to you all, that's a great savings and I hope we can maintain that. I just have no way of knowing whether that differential will hold up between retail and this. My guess, not being an expert, is that as if and when gas prices fall, retail prices fall, that gap will probably narrow. But I think it's a great indicator of the value and the savings that we can potentially get from this. So.
Yeah, that's a thought that crossed my mind is we need to get another tank.
Yeah, we'll see if it's, we'll see what the usage is. And that's the only other unknown on that I really have no way of knowing. I know Director Feldposh is very interested in fueling at our location. I've offered it to the sheriff's department and we'll do so to every department, but it may not always be convenient for them to do so, especially public safety. But if the savings is that good, then maybe we'll lure them to our building.
Thank you. Commissioner Plank.
So I had an opportunity to discuss this particular resolution. Just bringing some knowledge that I have about fuel and Opus and what that means. And I think you covered most of it at the meeting, the committee meeting. But basically Opus pricing is a subscription, and they basically what they do is they take the
different gas prices. They do like a survey basically of a certain area. And they put together what's called Opus pricing. You have your high, your low, and your average. And so the contract, I believe, is on the average price plus the delivery price.
Yep.
And so we will always be at that average price plus the delivery, which was very low, which was very surprising to me. So you can kind of count on that. You probably won't ever have the high price. They're always going to price it out at the average price around this area. And so I think it's a great contract. I mean, to lock into that. My understanding that this is a broker, not an actual fueling company, they're brick and mortar. They're a broker who will hire out most likely the same fuel supplier that we're dealing with today, which I believe might be Corrigan. So they'll contract with Corrigan to keep delivering. So when I initially saw this, I just wanted to make sure that the quality of the fuel was still going to be there, because my experience has been when we switched fuel suppliers, we ended up having an issue with the quality, which ended up ruining a lot of the equipment that we had and cost us a lot more money than the savings we were getting on the fuel. So I'm feeling very, very comfortable with having Corrigan. I've actually had experience with Corrigan in the past. So I'm really comfortable with this, and thank you for, answering all my questions.
You're welcome.
We do have a motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Resolution passes. Let's see, item I is resolution 2022-04-053. It's a resolution authorizing capital leases for 8 patrol vehicles for the Sheriff's Office Field Services Division. Is there a motion?
So moved, Rick.
Support Helserman.
Motion by Commissioner Drick, support by Commissioner Helserman. This too was discussed in committee, but there's your opportunity here for commissioners to ask any final questions or get any more information. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Resolution passes. The last resolution for the evening is 2022-04-054. It's a resolution authorizing an increase in total authorized vehicles for the Sheriff's Office Field Services Division in fiscal year 2023 to fully implement the Deputy Assigned Vehicle Program. Is there a motion?
Motion, Smith.
Support, Blank.
Motion by Commissioner Smith, support by Commissioner Plank. Any further information, questions by my colleagues? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The resolution passes. Thank you.
Commissioners.
Item number 12, accounts payable reports. First up is claims dated April 12th, 2022. Is there a motion to pay the claims?
So moved, Griffith.
Support, Smith.
Motion by Commissioner Griffith, support by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The claims are paid. We have payables dated March 19th through April 1st, 2022. Is there a motion to pay the payables?
Support, Griffith.
Motion by Commissioner Plank, support by Commissioner Griffith. Any discussion, questions on the payables? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We've paid our bills. Item number 13 is our second and final call to the public. If there are anybody in the room, this will give you first crack. This is 2 minutes in duration. Seeing none, we'll move over to,
Thank you, Board. Again, John Conley from Green Oak Township. And the handout I gave you, it talked about what's going on with the proven use, what happens with marijuana. So 1 in 6 youths that use marijuana become addicted. Those are facts. So how can we be, as elected officials, me as a elected school board member, you as elected board members and county commissioners, want to be in support of anything so terrible as that? We're only involved in wanting to do good things for our communities and community here in Livingston County. And it just doesn't make any sense that we're even having a conversation about these things to me as a technician and a father and a person who has done his best to look after his community and his best to look after youth that many I'll never meet. But I know that I've done my best to look after them. So as I come here tonight, I come here with a sincere heart that we'll look at this seriously and not have any part in anything that's harmful for our youth and our community. Now, like I said to the other part of the public, that again, there's reasons and uses for this product, and call it marijuana, call it weed, call it dope, call it whatever name you want to call it, that it can benefit some. I would never, ever believe that we should deny the rights of citizens to use that for the purposes like that, to help them. And I would be in support of that, obviously. And like I said, firsthand, I saw a benefit to it for my grandfather. But I've seen the other too many times now. And we talk about the income from this product. It isn't even close.
You have 20 seconds.
Thank you. Isn't even close to the damages it can cause to families. And again, $100,000 a year to do some recovery for one individual is pretty regular, unfortunately. And unfortunately, within that, spend $100,000 per year, and this person that gets re-addicted costs another $100,000, approximately 20% recover from the 100% that become addicted. So it's not a good number. So thank you, board, very much for hearing me tonight.
Thank you. Looks like we have a couple of people on Zoom. My eyes aren't that good, so I can't read the Susan.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Susan Gardner. I'm a resident of the city of Brighton, and thank you for the opportunity to do a call to the public via Zoom. Greatly appreciated. I would like to also address just the topic of marijuana. And, you know, during COVID, we all came to rely on the Center for Disease Control for guidance on how to approach COVID. It was a very serious health concern. You know, cities, counties, states across the nation, not everyone wanted to make their own rules. So the CDC became our guidepost. It was what we believed in. And the CDC has published a handout. It's called Marijuana Use and Teens. And I'm going to quote a little bit from it. Per the CDC, the teen brain is actively developing and continues to develop until about age 25. And during this time, using marijuana can really harm that developing brain. And those include difficulty thinking and problem solving, memory and learning, reduced coordination, difficulty maintaining attention, and problems with school and social life. And also consider, and I heard Mr. Conley's statistic about addiction. You know, there's also a marijuana use disorder, and this affects, according to the CDC, 3 out of 10 people who use marijuana. And this means they try to quit and they can't. They get to the point that they're giving up activities with friends and family in favor of using marijuana. And
You have 20 seconds.
This disorder happens more often when people use marijuana young. Please consider, coming out of this pandemic, do we need anything more to distract and to hook our youth going the wrong way? Please consider your responsibility to the youth of our county, including my 6 grandchildren, and take into consideration that you have a voice that can help to stop more marijuana coming into our county.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, Sherry LaRue. I forgot to mention, if you would state your full name and township, you'll have 2 minutes.
Hello, board. This is Sherry LaRue. I am in Green Oak Township. There is so much talk about money at these board meetings, and I'm in the throes of tax season. so I get it. And I believe in being a good steward of money wholeheartedly. But I also know that this is one nation under God. So when I'm looking at things like this, what I do is I turn to the ultimate truth, God's word. And I want to share with you something that Paul wrote to Timothy. You'll find it in 1 Timothy chapter 6. Now, godliness with contentment is great gain, for we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and clothing, with these we shall be content. But those who desire to be rich fall into the temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and harmless lusts, which drove men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, for which some have strayed from the faith in their greediness and pierced themselves through the many sorrows. I ask you all to reflect on this as you deal with the county budget, as you deal with ARPA funds, as you deal with corporations trying to make money off of our children and introducing toxic things into the community for the sake of tax dollars. Please don't go there. Please
You have
seek
20
truth.
seconds.
And with that, I will let you know that I'll see you in 2 weeks because I'll be back into the world. Have a great evening.
Thank you for joining us.
Another hand up.
Oh, okay. Ken, you have 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you. Not to pile on, but again, thank you guys for what you do for our county. I just wanted to mention one other thing is that Ken Schmake, by the way, Brighton, City of Brighton, the THC levels that are being sold in the dispensaries and they're being, farmed and tested are anywhere from 5 to 10 times higher than we were younger in the 60s, 70s. So the potency is unmonitored by the state at this point. And I want you to take that into consideration. I think it would be awesome if you joined the effort and sent a letter to, the City Council of Brighton saying, we joined the churches, we joined the Livingston County Sheriff, we joined the Brighton Board of Education, that we don't think this is a good idea for our county. Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else on Zoom? Looks like not. So we'll go ahead and close the call to the public and looking for a motion to adjourn.
So move, Helserman.
Support Griffith.
A motion by Commissioner Helserman, support by Commissioner Griffith. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We're adjourned. Thank you very much.